see myself.
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Fast Cat Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Overton. Some people call me the Big Cat. And I'm joined by
Jackson Long, as always.
In the house.
This is the first outdoor podcast we've done, which is awesome. It's actually amazing. But yeah, we're out here in Asheville, North Carolina, the home of the Haute route. Asheville. We got in late last night. And so we're doing a live podcast. The registration is going off right now. We're milling about, getting ready. We got some people watching we got an audience this time. It's usually just us and the cats.
Yeah.
In Frank's house, but so it's great to be here. Really excited. I mean, we've only been here in Asheville for a couple hours, but it's beautiful. It's super green.
Yeah, fantastic weather. It's like high 70s, low 80s. We're gonna ride on the Blue Ridge Parkway tomorrow.
So excited! I've heard nothing but good things about Blue Ridge Parkway.
I haven't ridden that thing since I was a kid, but that was in a car. And I think we'll ride through the Biltmore Estate on Saturday, and then we're gonna do the Newtown Mountain TT for stage 3. Yeah.
And so, we're also live on YouTube, of course. And so thanks to everyone who was tuning in. This will be available as a standard podcast. We're doing some video while we're here. So just getting a bunch of cool content. So what are we talking about today? What's the theme?
Well, obviously the Haute route. And we kind of wanted to walk you through the rider handbook, go through the time segments, the stages, kind of bring together a bunch of our podcasts, nutrition, recovery, pacing, what the Haute route is all about, how to race the time segments, how to ride the time segments, how to ride the non-time segments easy, stop in the feed zones, say hi to a new riding buddy, just chillax. Yeah. And that's the format of the Haute route. And but it's going to be a challenging day, so we'll talk about that. And then I'd like to relate what we're going to do physically and mentally to the rest of our audience, because I think a lot of people are out there doing similarly challenging events. They're training for 5 and 6 hour plus long, challenging rides. So,
back to back, that's
back.
A big thing here. It's like, it's mimicking sort of a stage race kind of effort. It's a few really hard days, and so recovery is going to be huge, and figuring out how to manage your effort, how to kind of do that event, not just burn all of your matches the first day.
That's right. Although it feels like you burnt all your matches.
I think I'm
tired.
I'm going to feel it on Saturday for sure.
I think everyone is. Yeah. And that's just how the Haute route is. That's how a hard 5 or 6 hour race like this is. It's not like you're the only one that's tired. Everyone is pretty smashed. Yeah.
Cool. So let's start with maybe just stage 1. I mean, or maybe let's kind of just give a rundown for those of you who are listening who don't. We'll just run down quickly what the kind of schedule of the weekend is. So, Haute route Asheville, we're here, starts tomorrow, Friday. With
stage 1 tomorrow morning.
Stage 1 with, 102.9 miles, 10,908 feet of climbing.
It's going to maybe close to a 400 TSS day.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely 350.
I definitely haven't done anything of that caliber this year yet. So,
but you rode up to Brandon Lake last week.
True, but it was only like 7,000 feet of climbing, maybe 8, but in like 60 miles. So, and then stage 2, and so this is for like the original. So the Haute route has a couple of different options. They have the original route, which is 3 days, and they're pretty burly. But they also have the compact for those who want a little bit of a more mellow experience than the self-flagellation that is the original Smash Fest.
And those are 55 miles and 57 miles with
similar routes. You still get to experience kind of the essence of what these courses are all about. And then stage 2, we go through the Biltmore Estates, which is the famous we learned about this from our Uber driver last night or this morning. I can't remember. It was always this morning.
It was this morning. Folks, we got in last night at 1:30.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So the Biltmore Estates, I guess, was built by Vanderbilts, and it's this massive thing, but it's
it reminds me of like one of those French estates.
Yeah.
It's like that size.
And
It's
usually you
ginormous.
can't really ride through it, and so it's kind of a special private thing that we get to ride through it on our way out of town on Saturday. So Saturday's stage is 97.5 miles with 8,900 feet of climbing. Still a big day.
Especially after the first day. Yeah.
And then the compact is similar, just a lot shorter, obviously, 56 miles, 3,600 feet of climbing. And then finish it up on Sunday with the uphill TT, 5.6 miles, 1,200 feet of climbing. Just basically
not just a TT, an uphill TT.
An uphill TT, which our very own fast cat, Jake, has.
Coach Jake.
KOM.
Coach Jake has a KOM. He emailed me earlier this week on Tuesday and said, come get me if you can.
Yeah.
And, if anyone wants to challenge Coach Jake, he weighs about 130 pounds, former professional racer. He's got the KOM from his pro racing days in 18 minutes, 1 second. Blazing fast. And for comparison, I do believe where's Brent Bookwalter? He's not even in the top 25. But Brent's from here. He's racing the Giro right now. And
Nice.
So I think it'll take Uzmir Mortals 25 minutes. Sorry. I think if you do it under 30 minutes, that's pretty great, especially after the 2 previous days. Remembering from my previous Haute route experience when I did San Francisco, we went out to Antelope Island.
Oh, yeah.
Took a ferry out there.
Wow.
And I was so tired at the beginning. I warmed up for 20 minutes and my legs just were not warming up. And we did 2 laps around, it was Angel Island, my bad. And the first lap was just warming up practically. And the second lap, I kind of came around.
Yeah.
But,
well, tomorrow is an early start too. It's looking at 7 a.m. Maybe let's just jump into kind of the details on stage 1 and sort of how to approach it and sort of what that looks like. So for those of you on video, we got the
this is from the rider handbook. They pass this out to you when you go through, get your packet pickup. Extremely detailed. It's got all your time segments. It's got where all the feed zones are. Everything is down by kilometers. One pro tip tomorrow is for all the riders. If you want to know where you are on the course at all times, set your bike computer to display kilometers, and then it's going to match the maps that you're provided with from the race organizers. It's in kilometers because they're Euro. And but tomorrow when you get to kilometer 5.7, that's the beginning of the first segment.
Yep.
Tomorrow when you look down at your computer and you're at kilometer 101, that's the beginning of the 4th and final segment. And that's going to be a 53-kilometer segment. When you're climbing Bullhead Gap and you're at kilometer 131, you got 1 kilometer left. Yep. It'll be marked out there on the course. You'll roll over a mat when the time section starts, and then the signage will count down, like here comes the summit of Dick's Gap, Bullhead Gap. It'll say 10 to go, 5 to go. And then when you roll across the end of the time segment, you'll roll across a mat and signage. And then thankfully there'll be a feed zone, right? Important it is to really know how far you have to go to the top of the climb. Use your kilometers.
Well, that's that's an ultimate pro move right there, is to have
total pro.
Have your your Garmin or your Bolt or whatever you have kind of either have the course mapped out on there, or you have a little stem counter or on your top tube with kind of the key points. I remember back when I was racing, we would put, I'm sure you have the same, you'd put all the key feed zones, the KOMs, maybe there was a tricky descent at a certain mileage.
In our packet pickup, we'll get frame stickers with the whole course marked.
Oh, perfect.
In kilometers.
That way you just
no more of
think about it. The Sharpie on a piece of tape.
The Sharpie on a piece of tape. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great, because then, of course, with the Haute route, it's segment comes up, or how much longer you have in a time segment when you're just suffering. You know, that's going to be super helpful, especially on these really long stages, such as tomorrow. You know, it basically kicks off with, like you said, a
20-minute field test
basically
tomorrow.
20-minute.
For all of you that have avoided your 20-minute field test the whole season, you get to do one tomorrow. So everyone is going to get great data tomorrow, right off the bat.
Yeah. So talk about that. I think that's going to be, because again, like, it's easy to, you know, I'm a little bit worried about it, because that's like right off the bat, you know, in a big day. And so there's a couple ways you can approach it, right? You can either go full gas, and, you know, obviously it's a time segment, so that's, you know, the competitive part. But you also have a long day ahead of you still, and then a long weekend on top of that.
So I'm just, while Jackson's talking, I'm going into the Ride with GPS file that the Haute Route organization sent out. They've sent us the GPS courses from stage 1, 2, and 3. I've already got them in my bulk. They're available to everyone. And the cool thing is we are able to, we're going to just go to the Elk Mountain segment right now once that ambulance goes by. And here we are, time section number 1, 5.9 miles, 4.9% average grade, max grade of 11%. We're going to climb 1,500 feet. And I looked this segment up on Strava before we got here, and it's going to take us 18, 22 minutes.
Perfect.
And it's just going to be like a field test, 20-minuter, which I'm a huge fan of. We're big fans of. And so we should talk about pacing and how you want to approach that. Me personally, I got sea level watts. I want to hit that fairly aggressively. And it is a time segment, so you'll get scored on how fast you go from the bottom to the top. You will not be scored on how fast you ride to the beginning of the time segment, or how fast you go from in between the first and the second. That's the beauty of the Haute Route, is everyone kind of chills out. We'll hit a feed zone, and groups will kind of recoalesce, and you can find your friends and ride with them. But in between, it's probably going to be a no talking climb, and everyone will get to stretch their legs. So if you're doing the 100 miles and you're worried about finishing and just general fatigue, you may want to pace this first segment, you know, sweet spot pace. I think everyone's going to feel really good, so may plan on saying, oh, I'm just going to go up sweet spot, but they'll probably wind up going up threshold, just because everyone's competitive and you got the adrenaline flowing.
Yeah.
So, it's a great section. And how are you going to approach it?
I'm just going to see how I feel, honestly. I think it's, I mean, I'm kind of happy that there's one right off the bat, because, you know, it's going to be super early morning. There's not going to be really time to warm up. And so, you know, you roll out of town and it looks like it starts
5.7 kilometers.
Yeah. So then, you know, then you're basically have a nice little opener to just, like you said, stretch the legs. And I'm going to give it some beans, just because I like to on these climbs.
You got to stay with me.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll stay together.
Right. I will try to hang with you.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And it's just, I think it's also just a good way to sort of like naturally separate the groups, you know, because
it makes
there's going to be a lot of people out. It's going to be, you know, these roads, you know, are probably going to be pretty tight, and it'll just help to have, you know, it'll kind of like naturally split people into groups based on, you know, how they ride that first segment. But then you can kind of chill. It looks like there's a pretty, you know, decent sized descent after, and then, you know, you kind of roll through the feed zone into the second timed section.
There'll be approximately 15, 17 kilometers of non-time segment to chill, and then there is the first feed zone is at 36 kilometers in, at the bottom of the second time segment, Cane River Gap.
Yeah.
By then, everyone will be spread out and riding in their kind of ability groups.
And Cane River is the gravel section, right?
Yeah. So earlier this week, there was a video going around of a rider who had reconned Cane River. Some people were concerned about the gravel. And I watched the video. I've never ridden that segment, but it was beautiful in the
road.
There was a line where there were no rocks, generally where the car tracks are. And then if you ride where the middle of the cars go over, that's generally where all the rocks wind up being the gravelly part. So if you can ride where the tires go, that's the smooth part. Someone was asking me earlier this week what the gravel technique is. Honestly, with this % grade and that it's a good quality road, it's going to ride and race just like your asphalt section. The dirt's not loose. Be careful on the descent. I don't think it's a gravel descent. I doubt it's like that. But someone was asking me if you can stand up or if you can have to sit down. And I think you'll be able to do both because the average grade is 4.9% with seated when it's 11%, but it's not for long. But 5% grade, you can get it in and out of the saddle and all that. But if you're riding with a pack, just be aware of there's good lines and bad lines. And again, if you just try to stay where the car tracks go, that's probably the best technique for this.
Yeah, I think the key for that, especially if you're in a big group, is to not be overlapping wheels or not riding too close to each other. It's easy to, especially if you're not used to riding gravel, to get caught into like maybe a little bit of a washboard section or a loose section and kind of like, maybe lose your line that's smooth. And so you just have to be a little bit more aware, a little bit more conscious of where you're riding, who you're riding next to. But luckily it's not going to be like very fast because it's a climb. So you'll be going slow. But
you may be going hard.
Yeah, you may be going hard. I mean, it is a time section. So I'm excited for it. That's going to be excited. I
sent the video to Jackson earlier that week. He's like, "Oh my God, this is going to be great."
I mean, I'm on a gravel bike, so I got some fat tires.
Speaking of that, everyone that's on their Gucci road machine, do not be alarmed. Any bike will be able to handle this gravel. It does not require a gravel bike or special tires. It's road friendly. This is what I call road light.
Yeah.
And I'm on my road bike. I'm on 25 millimeter tires, clenchers, and it's going to be just fine. It's not even any different than your very, very smooth pavement.
Yeah. I think the next main thing to talk about is the big boy.
The 53 kilometer one. I don't even know what we're calling that because it includes 3 gaps. Gaps are kind of like the European equivalent of calls here in the South. There's Dick's Gap, Bullhead Gap, and that crests out at 5,500 feet, which is the highest point of the stage tomorrow. And then there's a long descent, approximately 20 kilometers, so that'll be fun. Be a nice relief. But the time segment ends at the bottom of that descent, and there's a feed zone down there, so that'll be super good. It looks like it'll be from 101 to 132 kilometers predominantly uphill, so 30 kilometers up.
And again, I think like with this, the strategy for this is interesting because again, we have these first 2 time segments that are they're hefty little climbs. They're going to take it out of you, but they're also a lot shorter than this long one. So if you fully burn all your matches by this last one, you could lose a lot of time in the last one because it is longer. So there's more time to be gained or lost.
Correct. Yeah. Like you could, by the time you get to the 4th time segment, how well you've been hydrating and eating during the event will come into play big time. So the feed zones, there are 3 feed zones before you begin the Mondo segment, and use those generously. It comes with your Haute route entry. There's going to be Bonk Breaker in there. Those are great bars. I've used them last summer, even when we weren't sponsored by them. Precision Hydration will be there. There'll be a lot of gels and fruit, bananas, all sorts of snacks in the feed zone. And here's my strategy when I go to the feed zone. It's hot, it's humid. I'm going to immediately fill up my bottles down the hatch, and then I'm going to fill them up again, and those are going to go on my bike, and then we continue on. So it's going to be like a 4-bottle net pit stop for me.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like a 10-bottle day.
It should be. Yeah. If you're riding, if we do 6 hours, 10 bottles is going to be less than 2 per hour. And when you're sweating that much and working this hard, that's what you need.
Yeah.
So everyone, 4 bottles at the feed zone, I think. And you might do some water, some mix. And then you've heard us podcast about eating every 30 minutes. And we podcasted a few weeks ago about your eating every 30-minute pattern should be gels, blocks, bars. And the gels, because that's when your respiratory rate is really high and you don't have, you're breathing too hard to chew and swallow, thus a gel. Same way with blocks there. You can chew those a little bit. You maybe not be going as hard. And then you probably want to have your bar when you stop for a chance to like, that's what we call the two-handed nutrition. Stop, you have a foot down so you can have a bar and enjoy that like that. So plenty of places to eat and drink in between the time segments.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think take advantage of those pit stops. I mean, there's going to be some more like solid nutrition, and that's kind of my plan. Is like I'm going to save gels and the quick energy stuff for when I'm giving it the gas on some of these time segments.
Yeah.
When I get to the feed zones, I'm going to stop and eat some bars or banana or whatever, so that it's I can take it. My stomach likes having some solid food in there, as well as the gels and stuff. And like you said, just making sure you don't skimp on nutrition. There's really not be super well hydrated because there's just so much water on course.
Yeah, there's 4 feed zones. Yeah,
right? I mean, this is like about as well stocked in terms of aid as any sort of event in the world goes, because there's on the first day
the support is amazing. That kind of was what is one of the unique features of it.
4 aid stations. Yeah,
all these aid stations. And speaking of recovery, when you're eating in the last hour and a half of the stage tomorrow, you're not only eating for the stage, you're eating for the next day's stage.
Right.
You're eating for your recovery. And one of the things that I most look forward to is you get done with this stage, you put your bike on a rack and you go to a post-event meal, and it's very delicious, and you high-five all your competitors, and you share your war stories, and you recover. That's your recovery meal. And then you'll go back to the race hotel. You'll have your recovery massage. You just got to sign up. Comes with your entry. And then go back to your room and maybe shower and get off your feet, take a nap, chillax. And then then you go to like a rider's briefing, and you go get dinner, and then you go to sleep, and then you repeat it the next day. It's literally eat, ride, eat some more, recover, sleep, repeat.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really good point there with like eating for the next day. I think it's something that maybe goes a little bit underappreciated and sort of like taken for granted, is that it's, since this applies for any sort of stage race and any multi-day event with multiple hard days, the body is running in such a deficit all the time, and it's there's a lot of stress being put on it, that the minute you start to slack on that stuff, it's basically digging you a hole for the next day. And
for sure.
So you have to be, ready for these aid stations, and making sure you're just always like every 30 minutes, eating something, drinking, because the minute that you basically slack on that stuff, you're going to feel it the next day. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why people in stage races or multi-day events like the Haute route have issues or really struggle with recovery in the following days, because they just haven't been they're dehydrated, they're not fueling it properly, just everything's taken care of. It's great.
The how much you eat during the stage like this, and then how hungry you are, came up in our first week, and Coach Isaiah was saying what he has come to realize for him is if he finishes a ride and he's really hungry, he knows he didn't do a good enough job of eating during the ride. So if he finishes the ride, it doesn't feel like eating immediately, he knows he did a pretty good job during the ride of staying fueled up.
Eat
So
before you're hungry, drink before you're thirsty.
that's right. And then what's the adage? Why stand up when you can sit down, and why sit down when you can lay down? We're lazy.
Why lay down if you can be in space legs or a float tank?
Didn't they like used to carry Bernard Hinault?
Probably.
They used to carry him around the hotels in between the Tour de France
Really?
stages. This is before elevators.
Yeah.
Maybe not Bernard Hinault, but maybe like Fausto Coppi.
Yeah.
Should we talk about stage 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, stage 2. Go get eat a big dinner Friday night, eat a big breakfast, get as much sleep as you can because you get to do it all over again. Just different roads, as beautiful. That's where we started, the Biltmore Estate. It's 97 miles, 4,800 feet of climbing, and
a little bit of a longer run into the first time segment.
40 kilometers.
Yeah.
No warm up necessary.
So it's a little bit chill. You ride through the Biltmore, and then straight into the first time segment, which looks like it's about 10K or so.
Right here in our rider book.
Yep. Nice little climb, newfound gap, 3,000 feet tops out. And so, it seems like this stage, has just basically a number of little short segments rather than that like big long one that was like in
the 30 kilometer uphill. That's really 50 when you add in the descent. So stage 2 has 1, 2, 3, 4 time segments. The first 2 time segments are shorter. The third time segment begins with Betsy Gap, which is a 1,200 meter climb over 5 kilometers. But then you go, and then you descend, and then fortunately there's the feed zone. Then you do a flat time section, another feed zone, and run it out back in Asheville.
Yeah, and Betsy Gap looks pretty legit. I mean, like looking at the profile of the climb, you can kind of see this, that there's some pitches that go up over 12%, which is serious.
And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 feed zones. YouTube stream was futzing out. I think you're gonna, from experience doing the San Francisco route, you wake up Saturday and you're gonna be like, how in the heck am I gonna do this? The magnitude, the size, and the physical and mental effort that it takes to do a Friday stage, that's something I'll do like once a month. Definitely not 2 of those back to back. So you wake up Saturday, you're probably sore, you're tired. I think it's really important to remember everyone else is feeling the same way. Everyone else is tired. They're probably wondering how they're going to live up to the same physical feat in day 2 they did in day 1. And, that's the Haute route. Then this is where the camaraderie comes in, riding in the peloton. You're not alone. If you had to do stage 2 on your own.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
So make some friends on day 1.
Yeah, for sure. Make some friends. Make some friends at the rider briefing, all the social aspects of it. And, those are the people that will encourage you to dig a little deeper and find a little bit better gear than you would be on your own. And that's what makes the Haute route special. And when you get done with stage 2, you'll post it on Strava and share with all your friends. And you'll look back on it next week or the week after, and I think you'll be impressed with yourself of the size and magnitude of the ride you just did.
Yeah, totally.
And then when you get done on Saturday, get the massage, the post-race recovery, post-ride recovery meal, and you're gonna be even more tired, and that's to be expected. If you're not getting more tired, you're probably not riding hard enough. And fortunately, stage 3 is a little bit shorter. That's actually a fatigue-dependent stage race design, stage event design.
But also, I mean, it's still going to be super painful. I mean, a time trial is, it's not easy.
It's shorter, but yet they ask you to go harder. If you're lucky and you are gonna go for it, and if you're looking at your GC position, you're lucky if you're 2 minutes behind someone and 2 minutes ahead of someone. That's probably an unlikely gap. But it's like if someone's like 5 seconds in front of you, then you got to race it.
Yeah.
And then similarly, if someone's like 8 seconds behind you, you should make friends with those people because you'll give each other a high five afterwards. But that's the Newtown Mountain segment. That's the one that Coach Jake has. 18 minutes, 1 second. I'm gonna try to do under 30. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if I could get like what's the
KOM to get on the first page of Strava would take you
21
21:14.
I don't know.
Good luck, everyone.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit more about how to like deal with that fatigue, because I think you kind of alluded to it earlier that everyone is feeling shattered by day 2.
Even day 1.
But after day 1, and so it's just the mental becoming aware of that and understanding that you're not alone in that, and that like it is daunting for everyone to start that next day because it is painful. So I think that's the key, is to just take it a day at a time,
one pedal stroke at a time.
And find people that you're riding with that are at your ability on these time segments, especially. And like you said, build that camaraderie.
That's right. One pedal stroke at a time, one time segment at a time. And, I think it's just really important to remember, look back at your stats from your previous day. Like, everyone's going to be over 350 TSS. Everyone will have done 10,000 feet of climbing. Just ask yourself, how tired were you last time you did that? Have you ever done that before? Maybe that's the biggest, hardest ride of your life.
Yeah.
How cool is that? And I think the biggest thing, just everyone else is in the same boat. That's probably a topic of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, like I'm sure we've talked about this in previous podcasts, probably with our nutrition, thing, is control the controllables. It's like you have these feed stations at your disposal. You have the post-ride massage, the food, just rest and recover,
get a good night's
sleep. Just be efficient, be pro, because I mean that's this is sort of helps to mimic the pro experience. Do that, and I think that's a really fun part of it. It's a really cool aspect of these events, is that you can sort of see what that feels like to have everything taken care of. All, your main job pretty much is just to ride. And so you can go to new depths. You can sort of look at it from a positive place of like, this is really hard and I'm destroyed, but I can come back the next day and do it even more than if I was just at home doing this, so I don't have to deal with my laundry,
kids, and
making dinner, and kids, and all of that. So
I would encourage everyone in the staging and in the first 20 or 30 kilometers of stage 2, chat up the guy next to you and ask him how his or her day was, and share yours. And then I think you'll find everyone else is in the same boat, and then those are the encouragement you get from other people, and that help you achieve stage 2.
Let's talk about the TT. I know Jake kind of gave us the rundown of breaking it up into sections. We did mention it's around 20 minutes if you're going really fast. But 5.6 miles, and it's kind of, I think Jake was saying it's kind of broken up into 3 main sections. Starts off pretty steep.
So it starts off like 8% grade-ish. There's a 12% section at the bottom. And after 6 kilometers, it flattens out. There's a section where it's almost just like a false flat for a kilometer, or like a half a kilometer. And Jake said the key to that is carry your momentum up the steep portion so that you're rolling fast on the false flat. Don't try to hammer that false flat. Get a teeny bit of recovery. Keep your momentum going. That's where you kind of want to ride the climb by speed and momentum, not by watts. And then by not trying to push that section, you're going to get a teeny bit of recovery. And then that third and final section is where it looks like it gets up to fairly steep. There's a 13. Is that a 13% section in there?
Well, no,
1.3. Gosh, I need glasses.
But there is a 12+% section right off the bat. About a kilometer into the TT. And so with these kind of efforts, it's short. It's going to be basically like go as hard as you can and hold on. But a big key is to go hard when it's hard. So when it's really steep and it's a hard effort, that's when you need to. And like you said, you can hold that speed and momentum at the same time as, keeping a little bit of recovery rolling into those final pitches. But you definitely don't want to like start off with like conservatively, because you're going to lose a lot of time if you
got to go all in right from the beginning. You can be conservative in that false flat section, and then it looks like from the elevator here, it finishes with a negative 2.1% grade.
Yeah,
and so you want to carry your momentum and plan on essentially emptying your tank at like kilometer 8, and then the last kilometer you're net going downhill. So that's just a speed thing. This stage you got to warm up for. There's no such thing as not warming up. And one thing I find as I get older, I need to warm up even longer. When I was 30 years old, I could roll around the parking lot for 5 minutes and go. Now that I'm older than 40, I can, 30 minutes, even 30 minutes is not adequate or sometimes sufficient. Sometimes they need like 45 minutes. And how long you warm up is an art, because if you warm up too long, that takes energy away from your what you're warming up for. And if you warm up too short, then you're not warmed up. So
I think if you warm up too far away from the start or too close to the start, it's a balance.
I think the start of this time trial is within a mile or two of where we are right now. So logistically very friendly. And I'm going to warm up. I'm going to plan on getting on my bike about 55 minutes before my start time. I can warm up for 45, and then I can have 10 minutes to be in the staging area. Probably don't need 2 bottles on the bike for this. Probably don't even need 1. Like I said, Jake did in 18 minutes. We're lucky to go under 30. So if you want to be super light, this is where you could maybe do the event with a half a water bottle. You can take the springs out of your skewers. Grams, as Phil says, this is like, you can even take the water bottle cages off your bike and make your bike as light as possible. This stage comes down to power to weight, like all the stages do, but this one especially power to weight. And so make yourself as light as possible. If you don't need to carry it up, don't. The heavier you are, the slower you'll go. Just that's physics.
I mean, it's going to be early in the morning. Probably you're likely not going to need much, if any, water. And so, that's something to consider for sure.
You may want to have a light breakfast. Breakfast is grams, and you can have second breakfast after the stage. That'll be the second celebratory breakfast. You can reward yourself with a celebratory pancake
breakfast.
And then you'll go home with a lifetime of memories.
Cool.
What else should we talk about? That covers the stages. We talked about nutrition, the feed zones, the time segments. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to experiencing Asheville. I think I've heard so much, buzz and so many great things about this area that, especially from a cyclist perspective, that I'm just more than going hard on these little sections. I'm just excited to ride the Blue Ridge Parkway. And,
I think that's going to
be up in the mountains here. And, we're obviously very spoiled in Boulder, but it's a whole different where you can just be present in riding and being, out in these courses that are perfectly curated and designed for that experience. That's really special. So
I'm looking forward to riding in the woods. In the shade. We don't get that in Colorado. We have pine, and there's no leafy trees like there are here, and so it's going to be a real treat. Lee had a question in the audience.
So when you finish the stage, will you have like a bag for clothes to change in and stuff? Like, where's that bag? Where do you get changed after a stage?
So Lee from the audience asks where, after the finish, where your bag is, where do you go for that? So if I understand the map right, we're going to start and finish from here tomorrow. Looking at the map. So I'm not going to use a bag tomorrow.
And I think you are given a backpack. At registration, you go in and you get a backpack.
You just give it to the you bring it to the start line, and then there's a bag drop, and you just kind of put it there, and then they make sure it's waiting for you at the finish line. Like when we did the Rockies last summer, since we're doing point events, that was more important because you needed to have your stuff with you. You were finishing in a different city, and but I do believe tomorrow is start finish same spot, and then on Saturday's stage, I'm looking at the map here. We start and finish maybe in the Biltmore. I should know that, but yeah. So bring your bag with you to stage 2, and then for stage 3, I'm just going to ride up and then ride back down, and no bag at the.
But I think they do give you the option to, you know, you have your number, your special, you know, like your rider number attached to your bag, so you can put things in there if you do want, you know, to bring a vest or some sort of jacket, you know, or a little snack, change your clothes with you, like especially for the TT, you know, you get to the top and you want some warm clothes to send in or something. That kind of thing. They give that option so that you can just not have to think about it too much. But that's I mean, that's what's cool about here is it's like everything is kind of based.
I think everything is from here, so the bags are less of a thing. Of course, unless you want one, you know, at the finish line. But I think we're going to finish tomorrow somewhere in this vicinity, and so it's just a 5 or 10 minute up to your hotel room or something. Yeah. Question.
I'm Bo.
Hey, what's up, Bo?
How are you doing? For those that were
Bus
late,
from Jackson, Mississippi.
for those that were late or with ADD,
Uh,
give a little brief recap, maybe a 1 minute recap of strategy for stage 1, stage 2, and I heard 3.
okay.
Just real quick.
So Bo's a slacker. He showed up late, and he wants to know. He wants us to summarize the last 40 minutes of what we were saying in 1 minute. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
That is
But
good.
so stage.
That is good.
Bo's asking about strategy for stage 1 and stage 2, and so we do have the Elk Mountain time segment starting at 5.7 kilometers tomorrow. It's about a average 5% grade, but there are some steeper sections, and it's going to take about, I would say, 25 minutes or less, but maybe 20 to 26 minutes. So it'll be hard. That's like a 20-minute field test. I think if you're confident that you can ride 100 miles strong, which you did at like the Hincapie Fondo and stuff, I think you want to ride the first time segment hard. Maybe not like 110% hard because you do have
A lot of
mileage after that. Not like collapse in the ditch like I recommend for the field test hard, but hard. And we were saying at the beginning of the podcast, we're going to get a great piece of data from that. No need to do a field test. That's why we haven't done one. So that would be your strategy. And then, there's 3 more time segments after that. The 4th and final one is the biggest one. It's 50 kilometers, but 30 kilometers are uphill. And then the final 20 is downhill. So I think by the time you get to the 4th segment, you really want to have been diligent and good with your hydration and nutrition. And it's all about getting in a good group, as you know, and drafting. And by drafting, you're making 30% less power. And that's kind of like the beauty of these events is like getting in just the right. And to do that on a time segment, that's how you turn in your best.
Expand on that. If you're just trying to, enjoy the day or trying to get, just survive and so that you can go into day 2 feeling good too. Or if you're trying to, get a good position overall in the, final standings, it's going to be like, there is some strategy involved. It's like, well, we talked about this earlier on, but the last time segment is super long. It's like 50K or so. And so there's 30K or so. And so there's a lot more time to be gained or lost in that section. And so if you burn all your matches in those first 2 or 3, and so that's something to consider. I think it's just going to be, you have to kind of feel it out, and same with stage 2. I mean, stage 2, similar. It looks like some of the climbs on stage 2 are a little bit more punchy, a little steeper. And there's more of them. So you're going to be fatigued from the day before, but you're also going to, have a little bit more flexibility with how you approach those segments, I think.
And with regards to a warm up on stage 1 and stage 2, I think there's a difference. Stage 2 is going to have a warm up built into the time segments because the first time segment on stage 2 is at 40 kilometers. So you'll warm up just from riding in the group. But on stage 1, the first time segment begins at 5.7 kilometers. That's not going to be adequate. So that would require some riding around here, 20 minutes or so just to get ready because I think it'll start off pretty brisk because we'll have hundreds of riders all charging. Yeah. So hope that answers your question. Stage 3 is just powered away. Yeah.
Far as you can go.
And I think, did you catch the bit where everyone was going to be tired and I think it's just important to recognize you're going to be tired. A lot of times when people are tired, their watts go down and what you're accustomed to seeing on the power meter is going to be different than what you're seeing on Saturday, but you're going to be pushing as hard or even harder. Like when I do like the Crusher or some other long, really difficult races, I kind of stop looking at my power meter because it's so low because you're so tired. But everyone else is in the same boat. It's just general the way the fatigue works. And so, if you probably don't want to do stage 3 time trial by your power meter because if you can do the same wattage on stage 3 that you can on stage 1, there's a pro tour team that needs to sign you up. It just, for us mere mortals, it just goes down. And so that you'll have to just race that TT on feel and heart rate maybe too. Maybe it might be slightly depressed just from fatigue. So I think did that answer your question? Okay, cool. Thanks. Everyone, I think we're kind of towards the end of our time. Do you have any final parting thoughts?
No, I think thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks to the O group for having us out here.
Absolutely. Thank you to Kate.
Yep.
Very much, and on behalf of all the other ambassadors, it's a pleasure to be here. And absolutely,
having a great time. So, I'm excited. We're gonna go build our bikes now and go for a ride, go for a spin. I'm antsy.
Yeah. So last week we podcasted about traveling like a pro. We almost put the whole thing into practice with a few minor glitches. I don't know what I was thinking when I did the itinerary, but we got in at 11:30, and also not, always double check your reservations.
Yeah.
Cross check and confirm because we didn't have one last night apparently. So
we figured it out though. We're here.
We're here and we're good. But we'll get a good night's sleep tonight. And we put our nutrition into play yesterday and.
And I'll be also taking some video while we're out here. So I'm gonna put together some cool kind of little vlogs from our experience here. So it'll be cool to see those. Those will of course be on the Fast Cat YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. Questions or comments? Shoot us a message on our new forum. It's open to everyone. All you have to do is go there and register. We do have a podcast section. We have a nutrition section for Jackson, and we'd love to entertain your training questions. If you've been listening, come say hi to us on the road. I'm not too hard to spot. Got the cheetah tattoo, long hair, goofy guy, and Jackson's got a very distinct voice, as he's been told.
Yeah. Face for radio, as they say.
Oh
all right.
Goodness.
We'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Sure. We're going to build a kit today. Wow.